Hello, good morning, good evening. Hi to you out there in the world. It is Pride Week on Adobe Live. I'm Renee di Cherri, and I have the distinguished honor of being the host of Voodoo Val. Val, say hi to the people.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Renee. You're too kind to me.
No, I am not. You deserve all the honor. And can you tell me a little bit about what we're going to be doing to celebrate Pride today?
So I thought it would be really cool to paint a very iconic person. So we're going to go ahead and work on some portraits of David Bowie today. And I feel like this is, a really great person to choose for this because to me, I feel like he is pretty legendary for expressing himself, for expressing everything that's on the inside, on the outside, and just really being truly who he is. So I'm pretty pumped. And I've got some looks picked out for today for him. But if there's any Bowie enthusiasts in the chat, I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know if there's any looks that you would like for me to try, and we could get going.
Yeah, let's do it. And yeah, put them in the chat. I'm going to be watching it for Val so she can focus on drawing. But I'm also a huge Bowie fan. In fact, the star I wear is inspired by Black Star. Whoa, look at Bowie.
Yeah, so I figured like we could do I'm gonna hide this because I have just like some super simple line art. I just wanted to make sure that I had like a good face blocked in, but a lot of the personality, a lot of the flair, a lot of the magic, the Stardust, if you will, is gonna be coming in with a lot of the shapes and colors and things, which I think is gonna be pretty fun. But we could also, like I said, if we do multiple looks, we could go ahead and line up some pretty good combinations here. So
I love it. And there's so many eras. You've got Thin Duke, you've got Ziggy Stardust, you've got, and these are all iconic looks that Bowie used through the years to express himself. I'm already seeing one in the chat and you're not going to believe it.
Is it the one? Is it the one? Yes.
The Goblin King.
Yes.
Bowie or bust is the first suggestion. Hey, everybody in the chat, we love having you here. Tell us your favorite Bowie songs. Tell us your favorite Bowie era. Let's see what we're going to cook up here. Do you want to start with the Goblin King? It's there.
Yeah, I do. I'm actually gonna, so I have like a giant like Pinterest board just to make sure I remember all the little nuances of some of his more detailed looks. So I'm just gonna make sure I've got him up, which I do now, and it's amazing. The hair, y'all, and I'm ready to get started.
Yes. Well, while Val is getting started, let's just like talk a little bit about Bowie. Bowie was actually very like humble in his beginnings, if you can believe it or not. He doesn't come from some rich family. He didn't really get on with his parents, and he had a troubled relationship all of his life with his family. But he went out and he did what he wanted, like, to have that inspiring sort of background that he wasn't born into this. He had to fight for it the whole way. And in some of those early interviews, he's really pushing that boundary of like, he wants to be expressing himself beyond what others expect of him. And that's so key. That's so beautiful. That was out of the documentary. Sorry, it just came out like a couple months ago. It was in the theaters. What was it called?
I can't remember. But I think that's a really profound kind of revelation about him, truly, because as I kind of mentioned before, it's like really he embodies like fighting to be your truest self.
Yes.
And
expression beyond. And when you think about music and you think about pride and you think about diversity of representation of how people live and how they want to love, Bowie not only presented that, but he also presented all the different musical styles that basically exist, and across genres, there are icons, but he was in all of the genres. He did rock, he did disco, he did techno, like he's done it all. And I don't know, he's such a chameleon, and I don't even like all his music because he tried stuff he wasn't like that I didn't like, or he tried stuff because he wanted to try it. And very, very inspiring. Jay Schuster, thank you very kindly. Moon Age Daydream was the name of that documentary.
Which just sounds like a potion, let's be honest. It's a potion. That's a potion title to me. Yeah.
And then we've got a couple comments. Anthony Jackson is asking, is this raster or vector? And you know what? Great question, because Adobe Fresco does both. So, Val?
Yeah, so I am working with the pixel brushes right now, so it is raster. If I wanted to jump into some vector work, I could come into the vector brushes, which maybe that's something that we could test out later in the process if we decide we want to kind of go for a varying look, because I'm going to do some pretty gritty textures right now, which I think, that's the wheelhouse of the pixel brush. But yeah, I am working in raster, and I may eventually flip over to some vector. And right now what I'm also doing is I'm kind of like changing the brow ridge here for his kind of iconic makeup as the Goblin King.
Immediately it came across. I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally Jareth. And all you've done is shape his eyebrow.
You just got to make him fleeky, you just have to fleek him out real quick and make him pointy, make him a little dramatic, and all of a sudden, he's spinning around in a crystal ball.
Love that. I've got a couple hellos in the chat. We're out there is Robzilla. We love you.
Yo,
love you. We've also got my buddy John in the chat. Nice to see you, John. MTK says hi, Voodoo. We got
what's up?
Smith. Hello. And CJ is using your quote. Just make them fleeky.
Just make them fleeky. That's, when in doubt, I feel like there's a lot of problems that can be solved with fleeky eyebrows, or at least a lot of problems that can be ignored with fleeky eyebrows. Just the attitude of it,
That's
just
true.
Do it.
Here's a little secret. Here's a little Pride Week secret. I have a Frida Kahlo, like a straight Frida Kahlo eyebrow. If I don't pluck it.
I love it. I have a Frida Kahlo. That's what we're calling it from now on. That's what it's called.
That is my natural state. And you know what? There are people who rock it, much like Frida Kahlo did. I don't find it, so I do pluck. But in the sense of transparency and being born this way, I'm just letting everyone know that's me.
Yeah, that's who I am. That's who I am. We were kind of chit-chatting, before the stream started, and I would love to kind of continue our conversation, just kind of talking about like when Bowie came into our lives. I don't know if anybody's heard this track, but I came to Bowie later in life, because when I was in high school, I listened to a band called Tool. I used to listen to Tool in like a perfect circle. And David Bowie did a song with Maynard James Keenan called Bring Me the Disco King.
Oh, I didn't know they worked together on that. What?
Yes. And the song made me cry. The song made me cry. You didn't know? Oh, look it up. You will love it.
I love that song. I just didn't know that they worked together on it.
Yeah, it's like a really mellow, just very emotional presentation, and I loved it, and I just thought it was like the most spectacular thing I'd ever heard. And so I was just like, who is this David Bowie? And then I Googled David Bowie, and I was like, oh, this is not just a band. This is a being. This is incredible.
This is someone special. That is incredible. No, I do know that song very well. It's one of my favorites because Bring Me the Disco King is this, it's like this retrospective on Bowie's own life. He is the Disco King. He's singing sadly about like, my life is gone, and don't forget me, but also just forget me. It's very like torn, emotional song, and that's one of my favorites too. When did I get introduced to Bowie? I think I grew up with brothers who are about 15 years older than I am, so I had to be cool just like them. And so, no matter what, I was always aged up. So being younger, I always tried to do whatever they were doing. And so they brought me Bowie early. I probably didn't fall in love with Bowie until I was about 15 or 16. We had a math teacher who, looking back on it now, she was probably a lesbian, which is beautiful. But when I was in high school, that was not acceptable to even exist, right? It was very difficult from where I'm from. And so she was quiet about it, but she loved Bowie, right? And
Yeah.
I remember her giving me a mixtape of all these incredible Bowie songs and being this huge Bowie fan. And it spanned all different eras of Bowie. Some songs that today I'm still like, ooh, like Scary Monsters is not a song I like. It's fine. It's just not my stuff, right? You know?
But it's very emotional, you know? It was like just this huge movement of communication of the soul, right? Of just like trying all these different things. And I feel the same way that you do, where it's like, I don't like everything that Bowie ever made, but I still feel the impact in my heart and will always. You know what I mean?
I do.
So,
yeah, I feel the same way. And I find that he's such a powerful artist because of that, because it's scary to get out of your comfort zone. It's scary to try things new. It's scary when your life depends on it and you're like, oh no, I'm going to betray my fans. I mean, you know, we have to deal with it as well. Even as a streamer, you go, no, if I represent myself in this way, will people watch my streams? Will people
how will they
watch
feel?
My art? How? And Bowie had an honesty and just a energy that allowed him to continue pushing through, even through that fear. So I think it's beautiful. It's really good. Everybody,
I agree.
What's your favorite Bowie song? Nobody's putting Bowie songs in here. Come on.
Yeah, let us know, folks. Also, just to I just want to, because I kind of dove in and took a bite out of the process here, but to kind of let everybody know what I'm doing and how this is going, I thought it would be really, really cool to, instead of doing my usual workflow, which is typically like straight up like doing like a semi-realistic kind of painting, you know, something that you would see maybe more at home in like a painting or like concept art or something, doing more of a stylized kind of vibe where we stick to the line art, but a lot of the form is coming through these kind of shapes and pockets of color and things to give it a little more depth. And I kind of like the element of it going out of the lines, like around the ear and all that, and just being really almost geometrical. So that's what I'm playing with.
I love that. It reminds me of like old cartoons where the lines were like offset from the paint. And they did that in Steven Universe, but they did it to be like unique and cute. And so it's got that same vibe. So Jay has chimed in that his favorite song is Ashes to Ashes. Do you know that one?
I don't think so, to be perfectly honest. So this is like, I get to express Bowie love, and I also get to learn more about different ways that I can fall in love with Bowie's music.
Robzilla is adding that misregistration is the term for when things don't line up like that.
Misregistration. Well, that is good to know. I will definitely know now. I was looking up kind of interesting styles and things that I had wanted to test when first contemplating how I might go about this piece today. And I was looking up on Pinterest like stylized art, chunky shapes, textured boxes, line art. So now I know. You guys know that feel, right? I hope when you're trying to figure something out.
I do. You just should have called Rob.
I should have just called Rob, honestly. I feel like most times if anyone, needs some advice about illustration, you should pretty much always just call Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an untapped resource.
He is. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of, I am going to stick with the line art kind of on like his chin because I don't want it to be too crazy. And then I'm going to do like a, kind of go with it on his cheek here. And then I think I'm going to do like a darker shadow underneath the jaw to really separate that and give it a little bit of depth, because what I thought was, eventually this might start looking pretty flat, but I think if I'm clever with my placement of shapes, we can get some really cool different looks here.
I think it looks really cool already. We're only in 15 minutes, and
are we? Okay.
You've got Jareth. Like, I see Jareth already, so I want you to know that you're doing great.
Yay!
So, Ashes to Ashes, to give you a little Bowie history, it's part of the Major Tom saga.
Mm.
You know Major Tom? There's the
I do,
ground
yes.
roll to Major Tom. So Major Tom is this character that Bowie sings about through all of his songs. And he sung about Major Tom in a few of them, and Ashes to Ashes is one where he mentions Major Tom. One of the last songs is considered to be Black Star, where they find the astronaut in the skull out in space, and that's supposed to be Major Tom and his demise.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring this shadow that I did for his face, and I'm going to bump it down to where the actual shape is for his head, and I'm going to clip that so that I can keep that choppy, you know, kind of look there. So it's like kind of attached, you know? And I tried to add a little bit of like of a bluish purple color in there because I feel like I don't actually want this one to be too warm. Because Jareth was like really, he did the gold hair, and he did actually have kind of orangish lips, but I think I might tone this down because it was very much like dusty, silver, you know, like light colored, but almost a little, it was elegant, but still dingy, you know, kind of silks and satins and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly that. And I love what you're doing here with that purple. I actually think it's, you know, because that peach that you've chosen of the skin and that purple, they're a little bit, you know, complementary. They're kind of close to each other. So that is going to gray it out. That's going to give it that sort of like crispiness that I think you're looking for.
Thanks.
It's a great choice.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. And I think the last thing I'm going to do here real quick is throw that shadow, and then he needs the hairdo for sure.
You do the hairdo.
That's the next step.
It's so good already, though, and it's so Jareth already.
Thank you. What color do we think would be great for a background? Because I think we are gonna, especially with how quickly this is going, I think we definitely will get to like several iterations. So I feel like each of the little tiles we do should definitely have its own background color for sure.
You know, if you're doing sort of a gray purple because of his face and his hair will be blonde, my head goes to immediately to like an orange or like a sunset, or even just a plain black, maybe even black and white. I'm not sure. I would try.
I like the idea of like sunset, sort of, like you said, like a orange kind of.
Yeah, exactly that. And Jay is asking, what color was the Bog of Eternal Stench?
The Bog of Eternal Stench was something, it's just in general we don't speak about it, but I can reach into my labyrinth knowledge and say that it was actually really, really green. Yeah. And I rewatched it months ago. I rewatched Labyrinth, and I don't remember it having like so much greenery towards the end of the journey, because I only remembered their first like sort of arrival to it and everything just being absolutely disgusting. Yeah. But it wasn't horrible all the way through, but still just mostly awful.
It is a good suggestion because Cody's come in with maybe dark olive, and I think it's kind of a dark olive grayish.
Yeah.
So combine all these awesome suggestions from the chat. And I have a little small announcement. Gus Martin's in the chat. Hello, Gus.
Gus Bot, what's up?
It's so nice to type to see you. I'm not really seeing you, am I? But it's nice to think about you. It's nice to say hi.
It's nice to think about you, Gus. Hey, buddy. I think that's like, you should be allowed really to use like the regular term for seeing people in person when you see them online at this point, because I don't know about you, but I feel like the online community is so like connected now that sometimes I forget that I haven't met people in person at all.
That does happen.
You know?
One thing that happened to me when I used to edit videos, I would forget that I hadn't met that person, that I had been in a dark corner staring at their face for hours. They had never seen me. And I'll walk up to them and be like, hey, great to see you. And they're like, what?
Who are you? And you're like, oh, yeah, I'm doing that thing again. Yeah, I realize I forget if I've seen somebody in real life or not, and I also forget when I like if I haven't met them, but I also recently forgot that I had seen Alex Lazarus in person. I just put my foot in my mouth because I was like, it's gonna be so cool to meet you, this week in person finally. And he was like, whoa, yikes. I was like, no,
I do
I'm
that
sorry.
I do that all the time. I do that all the time. And I don't know how it happens because I care about people and I really want them to feel that. And I want to meet people and I am a people person for real. And so it breaks my heart every time. That happens to me all the time, Val. You're not alone.
Okay.
Like, we've met before and I'm like, oh.
Oh no, my bad. My bad. I think one thing that I'm gonna do for this is because we gotta put the hair in here, but the hair is quite dramatic, right? So I feel like if I just come in and do a little bit of sketching so I can kind of see whereabouts I'm gonna place some pieces, I think that would be best. So I can like put some there, and I think he has some here, and then kind of go and like trace with my shapes to just make everything look like it is accurate to the character.
I love it already. It looks so good.
And I feel like I'm trying to keep myself from like making it confined to his head. Like this is going to have to break the borders of this square for sure.
Yeah, but I feel like you can still get that shape, and you're doing it well.
Just kind of pull because he's got like these long pieces.
He's got like a goblin mullet. Let's be real.
Oh yeah, it's a magic mullet.
It's a magic mullet, yeah. And Uma Korn says the hair was crazy, spiky, layered. Cody says that she's never seen Labyrinth, which...
Oh, I suggest, if you have not seen The Labyrinth, I have a suggestion to anyone in chat. If they have not seen The Labyrinth, you should absolutely watch it because it's incredible and amazing. But I'll tell you, Renee, I hadn't seen the intro animation to that film in about 20 years. I would skip that. I'd skip that part. I would, because somebody decided they were going to make an owl fly all over the place and like crash through letters and like bring in words. And I think that
yeah, it was like 1986. That was all
I know.
That was all they had.
That's all they had.
All they had, girl. I know it's hard. It's hard to watch now.
It's hard.
But
sometimes
someone used like a baby version of like Maya or like RenderMan or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It might have been Pixar that actually did that intro before they were Pixar.
Really?
Yeah, it was like that arm of Lucasfilm that became Pixar.
Uh-huh.
They were working with they were rubbing sticks together to make that work. So
sticks together.
So it does look like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Jay is saying it was rendered on an Amiga with 32 kilobytes of memory.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Forgiven.
No, but Val is not wrong. It is like a trip back through time in computer animation. So
oh yeah,
you are correct in your emotions about how it made you feel.
I think that I can get away here with doing a lot of messy craziness, right? Like just kind of connecting these pieces. Yeah. And I think that if I do it right and I keep the shape selected, that I can come in and put in, like to give it a lot of really good depth, I can bring it in, do like a darker shade, and then make a new layer, keep it selected, and do like the lighter shades to kind of like bring out the bangs is what I'm going to go for here.
I love this. You're using selections in a really tactical way. And kids out there making your arts, like selections, use your clipping masks. These are things that can actually speed up your workflow. Mm-hmm. You do not have to hand paint every element of your drawing. Mm-hmm. Not only speed it up, but then, some of these cool effects that Val's getting are because of the fact that you're using clipping masks and you're using your selection tool. You're going to get new weird shapes that you wouldn't have drawn. And That's good. It's good to get out of your comfort zone, like David Bowie did with his music.
Yes, indeed. Hey, bringing it back around. I see the dance. I like it. You know who is like the queen of clipping masks though, and this is actually the person who taught me how to use clipping masks and changed my life, I believe is in the chat. And that is the wonderful Cody Bear. Yeah, and I think that is an excellent bit of advice. Renee, just, get in there and test out clipping masks and see if it works for you. I think that my personal workflow has transformed so totally and for the best, really, when I started utilizing them. They're really very, very helpful.
Becca says it's nice to see you, Val. I haven't caught a stream in a while, and I want to echo that. It's nice to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's good to be here with you as well, Renee. And Becca, it is awesome to see you as always. I hope you've been well.
And Jay is talking about, he actually found some of the legitimate, this is like from a Wikipedia about that opening. So let me fix, because I don't want the internet to use my words as disinformation.
Okay.
The computer-generated owl was created by animators Larry Yeager and Bill Croyer, and it marked the first use of a realistic CGI animated animal in a film. I don't know about that, but maybe it was the first attempt.
Wow. So it's early, and that's what I was sensing. I'm perhaps quite spoiled when it comes to visual effects. We all are, I think, these days. So
as we should be. It's not
as we should be. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love this. I can see his hair without seeing his hair, the way that you're making it happen.
I hope that it's going to look good. So what I'm going to do is I feel like I've spent a lot of time kind of throwing this in here, but I think what we can do is just go ahead and paint bucket this in. And if I snag, I want like a dusty color, like a dusty gold.
Yeah,
sort
like
of
that dirty blonde.
Yeah, and I think that I can. Let me make sure I'm on its own layer right now. I think. Perhaps wait. Let me make sure.
That only took you about 5 minutes. We're just about 26 minutes in, so you've still got a lot of time.
I feel like I don't have all these pieces connected, and I kind of meant to do that. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paint bucket it.
Yep.
Can I please paint bucket? Yeah, there we go. No. Okay. Brush. Where's my brush?
Yeah, brush over it.
Yeah. Let me make my brush larger. That's what I should have done in the first place. Because not all the pieces are connected, but what I can really get away with doing here, I'm just making sure, because I do have, so I'm using a soft round brush with the blend mode set to dissolve right now, and I'm sure that every person who has ever watched an illustration stream with me or from me knows that I do this. But just in case there's somebody out there who has not been like just getting texture with this blend mode set on their brush, I highly recommend it. My early days of like using Photoshop and stuff, I was like, what is the dissolve blend mode for? What would I use this for? And I don't know what everybody else uses it for, but now it is my go-to noise brush. It is my go-to brush to add a tiny bit of extra texture to any textured charcoal brush that I have. And it just makes things so much more, I feel like it gives it more personality, which is what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that I have scribbled it in so there's no little excess places, because something to note about the dissolve brush, and I've actually never peeked at this here in Fresco, but I'm going to. Yeah, so I've just tapped here with a brighter color so that you can really take a look at this texture. It is not like the regular soft round brush when it's set to normal. There's no gradient effect or like a change in opacity. The dissolve brush or blend mode is going to set whatever brush you add this to. It's going to set it to 100% opacity, and it's going to just spread it out so that you're still getting this nice gradient, but there's no differentiation in the opacity there.
Well, it's creating the opacity through the holes. It's like
Yes.
on the edges.
Yeah, and that is actually really, really useful if any of you are ever doing some kind of design or like art challenge or something where you really can only use a certain amount of colors, because you could get some interesting overlap without actually creating gradients of different shades, which is kind of fun.
That would be great for t-shirt designs and stuff like that too, where you really cannot have a bunch of gradients and a bunch of crazy colors. So that's such a great tip. Yeah, if you're going through your blend modes, and I know you have out there, I know you've been going through your blend modes and you're like, what would I use this for? I don't use this. But Solve is pretty powerful and it gives this distinct look. It's almost like a comic book style, you know, the way that you're doing it right now. And that's how you get it. Use the dissolve mode.
And what I'm going to do now is, you know, I was just kind of making sure I scribbled that in so that this was filled up 100%, because now that I have this, I could duplicate this. Like if I wanted to come back to only this selection, I could duplicate it and then I could make a clipping mask on top like so and grab another color and fill it in if I wanted to. But I'm just going to come in underneath it, and with my lasso tool, I'm going to make some much larger shapes and fill in kind of the rest of his hairdo underneath and just give it some serious body.
I love that. And remember, again, my digital art children, you can do layers like this. You don't have to put everything all in one piece. You can stack this stuff up. Val didn't need to worry about the bangs. She put them on top. They're on top. And now she put all the stuff in the back. And it's going to give that layered effect for free.
I love that. For free. It's layer effect for free. That's beautiful. And I think that this is something, you know, the reason why I came to perhaps doing it this way is I think this is probably an example of working smarter, not harder, perhaps, you know, because it's like that I could spend all freaking day, you know, painting the crazy details of his hair. And you know what? Maybe I do come back later on and add a little more detail and whatnot. But I think that doing it this way gives me the opportunity to suggest maybe like geometric impressionism of like the full head of hair without putting all that effort. And I think that perhaps phrasing it that way, like I don't have to put in all the effort, is maybe a cop-out when it comes to explaining why it's a great thing to do. And I think I started trying to work this way and doing things this way and employing these kinds of techniques when I realized that there's nothing wrong with taking a shortcut like this and with working in this way, because in order to do it well and to make it look good, you do have to have that knowledge behind it, right? To figure out where it's going to go. And I think that I actually have improved a lot of my art skills when I did start to do things in a simple manner to like quickly get to the end goal instead of putting in the time. Whereas before I thought if I didn't put in all that time to do things, I wasn't doing it right. Right. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. That's a really common logical fallacy where it's like, I spent so much time on this, therefore it's good. And it's actually not. And it's just, it's just a human characteristic that we have. And not everything that you spend a lot of time or effort on will be good. And not everything that you spend no effort or time on will be great. But it does take that sort of wisdom and that, you know, refined eye that you clearly have to be able to say, yes, this simple thing I chose is better than spending hours rendering this one hair, you know?
Yeah.
No, you have to know when to use these different tricks. And that's where the true art comes and where the true expression comes from, is in your choices, not in just a default, well, this is a great dragon drawing because I spent 20 hours on this dragon.
That's such a great point. And I think too that when you and I think that this could possibly apply to not just illustration, but to graphic design, to UI UX design. If you folks are photographers or compositors or, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, if you take some time to really attempt to like say, you know, ask yourself, what's a faster way that I could be doing this? Or what's a quick, interesting way that I could achieve this same end goal and try doing that, it really gives you practice in being a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more intentional with your process, like, because then when you go to do it in the super detailed manner, you have that, thing to draw upon, like, oh, this is only a 3-step process, and I'm just going to add some steps along the way instead of struggling through a 20-step process you haven't thought through yet, and doing it the long way.
I love the struggle, Val. Don't take away my struggle. We all struggle as artists, and I don't love it. But sometimes it is funny to catch yourself like doing it to yourself.
Oh yeah. I think you know what I'm guilty of constantly, is I'm guilty of starting a painting, and then, like, before I have everything in place where I should move on to the next step, just being like, I'm actually gonna hyper detail the face because that's my favorite part. And then I end up with like a hyper detailed face, and the rest of it I'm like, oh.
This is the artist version of eating the icing off the cupcake first.
Absolutely.
And then just being like, I'm good on the cupcake part.
Yeah. You know what? I just want this chocolate right here. That's all I need. I'm putting in some of the darker tones here now. And I think he's starting to, that looks more like him.
And if this were me, you're not asking. This is my unsolicited advice. You're not asking.
Give it to me. Yeah.
If this was my drawing, the first thing I would do is I would grab those bangs and I would start brushing in that same color to have them blend.
Yes.
I would do.
I think that is a great idea.
And if you use that dissolve, or I'd do it the other way, right? Like I'd either take the blonde of the bangs or the dark of the back and brush either one back and forth to give it that crispy dissolved texture.
Well, I'll tell you what we can do is we can make a clipping mask over this one. And I will select this lighter color here. And then with our dissolve brush, I'm gonna come in and just start kind of blending the top here into a little bit of those bangs in the front, and kind of keeping a little bit of that depth, but not quite, something kind of like that, which I think works pretty cool. And it's a little messy, but
it's good though. It's
going somewhere.
Good messy. Now we're about 35 minutes in, so I want to let you know, because I know you were talking about doing other Bowies.
Yes.
Don't want to stop you from this though. If you're happy with Jareth, I mean, you can keep rocking on Jareth the whole time if you want. It's up to you.
I think I'm gonna group it all because I feel like this is pretty iconic. Like I feel like we've hit the mark kind of with this one, and it could use some more love. But yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. That's an amazing idea. Let's do that real quick.
All you need is like a quick blue and a brown. Sorry, there's a train outside.
No, that's okay.
I apologize to everyone in the chat.
Yeah, let's do like a quick eye color real quick. And I'm just making sure so this is another thing too, is that Bowie's eyes are incredibly unique. And I believe that was an injury. Correct?
Yes, when he was a schoolboy, he got hit in the face. I don't remember what it was with, but it busted, our eyes have the iris, which is what the black part is. And it's literally a muscle that contracts and expands. It busted that nerve ending so that he could no longer contract that iris. So he had no control over it. And if you see a lot of photos, he wears sunglasses a lot because it's too bright for that eye. Like he can't.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah. That would be crazy. But yeah, I just thought that was something that was really, really unique. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget to, at least like in my line art, make sure that was reflected. But I think that I will do like sort of a darker, and I think there's probably just a tiny bit more brown in this, but I don't want to, I'll paint his eyes all day. I'll do this the whole day. So I'm just going to turn this on a slightly lower opacity, just a little bit. And then I'm going to throw this up in the corner.
That's good.
And then we will move on to another one.
Sounds good. It looks really beautiful. Now there's so many Bowies to pick from, and I just wonder, like, where would we go next? There's Ziggy Stardust with that iconic stripe down the center of his face. There's also like the the Nine Inch Nails era where he had like the little soul patch.
Yes, the Ziggy is actually the one that I had chosen to begin with. If everybody likes that one, but feel free, like we said earlier, to throw some ideas in the chat because
there are already 2 votes for Ziggy, honestly. So
okay.
I think you're good.
So we're gonna need like a golden red, and we're gonna need some blue. I'm gonna make sure I have all of my reference. Speaking of which, I feel like sometimes, especially when I'm streaming, let me make sure I'm typing this in because I'm an abysmal speller. When I'm streaming, I sometimes get a little like, do I need to be taking time to like pull up certain things and whatever? I feel like we should kind of encourage and normalize like taking some time to, snag your reference. And if you're working with reference that you're not comfortable with, which happens sometimes when you select reference and then you realize, oh man, I need a different image or whatever, like take the time to go and find another image, because I have been in my art journey so like, and I don't know why, like super constrained about using reference or telling people that I'm using reference or taking the time to find accurate reference that I truly need and working without the tools that were necessary for my projects. And those were sad days. So I needed a new image. So I'm getting a new image.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, go find your new image. I know exactly what you mean. And I even want to just encourage people to look at art, because it's shocking to me. If I just look at different things, I get different ideas. And I know it sounds so dumb when you say it plainly like that. But when you're an artist and your first instinct is just to lay down a bunch of lines without thinking, without researching, without just taking a step back and going, what do I want it to look like? You just start drawing. It really improves the whole process. It makes it quicker. It makes it more crisp. And I think I'm always happier with my art once I've got the proper reference and I'm really inspired.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think that maybe it's, because I see a lot of questions come through from the community, a lot of people wondering how to use reference, or if you're supposed to say that you have reference. I personally think that there's a lot more fear surrounding gathering the necessary materials like that for a piece that is necessary, because I think that any art that you create, you should have some kind of reference or inspiration. And so the hang up used to be a major fear of mine of like, how do I use this and all of that. But like kind of getting a little bit more comfortable with my craft, I've realized this is just a necessary step in the process, like having this available for myself and for the longevity and strength of each piece that I create,
I totally agree. And in that same spirit of Pride Week, getting out of your comfort zone and being honest with yourself about what you need in this world and who you are is very important. And as an artist, even these things are hard to fight. I get it, because I do the same thing where you're hemming and hawing and you're like, oh, but should I do this? And oh, should I do that? And oh, I shouldn't trace. And oh, I shouldn't composite this tree in the background. I didn't take this photograph. Or I don't know. I mean, there are blurry lines between creation and homage, an homage to something and a collage, but really getting comfortable with trying new things, I think, is important as an artist. And through that process, you'll find your actual voice and you'll actually find where you can find that stride. I
think that's a very well said. And I think, I'm sure that you have felt this before, and I'm sure that people in the chat have felt this before, and that is, there can be there's a lot of interesting opinions about, digital art and the authenticity of the process of like, using a tool as simple as the lasso tool, and all of that stuff. And the way I see it is like, I put my soul into it, right? I put my heart into it. And I feel like no matter how many tools I'm using to streamline the process of what I'm making, whether I'm using a textured brush or I'm going outside and taking a picture of the bark and of the tree in my backyard and bringing it into Photoshop and making my own texture brush. It's my taste and my style and my passion that's going into it. And in order for me to create something that looks dynamic and looks good, I have to know on some level what I'm doing. I have to have that skill.
You do. And you have your own voice that you're putting into your art. And that's what makes your art. Yeah. It is a struggle. It is difficult, but the struggle's worth it. And going through that struggle will make you a better artist. So just, get out of your comfort zone, try new things. And also remember that it's okay for you to experiment in your own voice.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I have a question for you, because I was not prepared for the level of Bowie-ness when it came to you. I had no idea about this. So I'm going to ask you a question as somebody who is a Bowie fan, but is possibly not a Bowie expert. I believe that I'm going to be doing my lightning bolt for Ziggy, but always when I Google Ziggy, I also get the circle in the center of the forehead.
Right.
And so I just want to make sure, I got to ask our resident Bowie expert and make sure that I'm going for the proper makeup here.
No. That is the proper makeup. Now there is the circle. There's a couple different. Yeah, you're right about that, because the Ziggy had a couple different styles. He also had not only the circle in the middle of the forehead, but he also had all the red, almost like geisha. I have to say that there's a mixture between Aladdin Sane and Ziggy Stardust to me.
Okay.
For Aladdin Sane, I feel like, so I got them mixed up. So Aladdin Sane is the proper name for the lightning bolt. So,
okay.
But that's what we're doing. So you called me a Bowie expert, and I sadly do not deserve this crown, but I am grateful for this honor. Now, so this is the Aladdin Sane look. And then you are right that the Ziggy Stardust look is more of there's the dot, and he has got a geisha pale with red eyeshadow. We have been schooled, and we have all learned a little bit more today on this Adobe Live.
I think that we're going to do both of them. I think that's what we're going to do, because honestly, they're both amazing. And I feel like when you think of him, these are two of the vibes that come to mind. And I think also just in the spirit of how this particular piece is coming together, the style that I'm trying to create here, I think it would also be relatively quick.
Yes. It will be. And you've got about 12 minutes if they don't come off super fast. So you'll probably want to employ your quick skills for these two if you're going to do two more. But I've seen you. You're brilliant. You can do it.
I think we're going to try it. We're going to go for it. So what I'm going to do is I just sketch that in there. And I'm going to do something that's super scary for all of us artists to do. So I'm going to do this the one time and not be precious about it. Maybe. That's what I'm gonna do.
No one.
Here we go.
We need a Top Chef cooking show, but it's digital art, and it's no undos.
Yeah, no undos. Do it the once. Let's see how you feel about it. It's we're doing it, but we hate this. We cannot stand it.
If you want that digital art cooking show, please email adobe@adobe.com, and Val and I will be your top digital art chef.
Yes, digital art chef.
I don't know.
Oh no, it's Iron Chef Adobe. That's what it is. It's Iron Chef. It's Iron Chef Adobe.
Chef Fresco? I don't know.
Okay, I do like this. I lied to you, and I've added a little bit more to it. Okay, boom. And then you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to be smart, and I am going to duplicate this. Duplicate. Boom, and I am going to make a new layer and make that layer clipping mask, and I'm going to grab this delicious looking blue right here, and we are going to paint bucket and pixel, and I'm just going to merge that down, and then I'm going to transform it and get that blue. And we can also come over here to the let's go to, can we do liquify? We could maybe do liquify. Let's go ahead. And I'm just going to pull this around. Nice. So the liquify, by the way, is a maze. Let me just say that. Liquify and Fresco, if you guys haven't tested it out yet, it is a more recent feature, though maybe not brand new, and I love it.
It is. It's a really helpful tool. I use Smudge a lot too. They sometimes have the same vibe depending upon what you're doing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's go ahead and boop, boop, boop. How many minutes do I have left?
You're looking at about 5 solid.
5 solid? Okay.
I'm gonna start kicking us off a couple minutes before the hour, so.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna call this one done, just because we have the iconic look in there. Where is my brush tool? Boom. Okay. I'm just gonna throw so that, you know, that's there. I could, if I wanted to, do a little of this.
And like pull it down and then just do a different, like you can use
the same skin portion. I think that's a good idea. You're a genius. And let's go ahead and do this.
But not a Bowie genius, apparently.
No, you're fine, because I feel like we got to learn something together. You know,
learn it together. And there's so much about Bowie that I don't necessarily know, even, and because he has such breadth across so many genres.
Oh yeah.
Anthony Jackson wants to know if there's artboards in Adobe Fresco, and they use that word, but it's not like you have multiple artboards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to like export out a bunch of different sizes the way that you do in Photoshop or Illustrator. Yes, they do. It's called an artboard. Yeah.
And I think I personally, like, I know a lot of people who, because I use artboards in Photoshop. You know, because Photoshop does have artboards. And so that was something where I was like, I had started using artboards a lot. And then I was like, where? But one thing, you know, about Fresco is that you can, you don't have everything that perhaps Photoshop has, but you do get some really, really awesome stuff that Photoshop does not have, such as like being able to dive into the vector brushes and all that good stuff.
Focus is nice because it's just, you know, it's not too much. It doesn't have a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab my circular or what is that, elliptical lasso tool. And we're gonna go like that, and we're gonna grab our brush. I'm actually going to leave it on this color, and I'm going to select inverse. I'm going to invert that selection and start doing like a that's the vibe. That's it right there. And we're coming, I'm trying not to, okay, I'm like peeking at the time, because I know I'm going to enjoy doing this part, and I'm like, how long do I have to before I forget where I'm at and just keep painting?
But you're not doing too bad. You got about 4 minutes to enjoy it, so don't panic too much. I'm trying to look up who might be next, or if we're it. Are we?
We're it. Unless there might be. No, I think we're it. There could be something on. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, we're closing out the day. Actually, I didn't realize we got to sweep up.
Yeah, we're gonna. They hand us mops after this, and we clean everything up. That's exactly what happens.
Exactly. So pick up after yourself out there, children.
Yeah, please. Don't leave any popcorn in the aisles. I hate it when you guys do that. You know, remember us when you go.
Oh, that's so cute. Now, this makes me want to draw my own Bowie now that you've done this. It's
oh my gosh, please do. Please do.
I don't think I ever have either.
Really? Oh, I think you totally should, because I would love to see it. And I think, why do I keep accidentally deselecting my, oh, you know why? It's because I've already got something selected. Hey-yo. Yeah, let me deselect. And then, because I'm trying to select within a selection, and it's like, this is already, you know, doing the thing, Val. So not sure where you're going with this.
And Fresco was being so polite too. Just was like,
no, no.
So good. Yes,
Let's
that
grab
red.
Like a darker color too. Let's go ahead and throw that like there. We'll get that bright going one last time. Here on the top of that, we could even come in with this color right here, get like a little bit of something going on, and
orange hue to make it pop.
Yeah, make it pop. All right, let's grab something like this and just come in here and kind of clean up the teeth. We're getting there. We're getting there. I feel like, you know, I would love to be able to add maybe we can real quick. I'd love to be able to add just a little bit of the hair, you know.
You got about 2 minutes as far as I can tell. So
Okay, I think that we do have time for hair.
and while you're doing that, I will distract the lovely people with some comments about the difference between Aladdin Sane and Ziggy Stardust that I looked up. So apparently, Ziggy Stardust was this character he came up with from Britain, from the British sort of pop group band style, right? And then when he moved to America, because Bowie did that and lived here for a while, that's where Aladdin Sane came from. So it became this new, like, just Bowie's experiences in America and how they changed him and shaped him living in New York. I'm pretty sure that's where he was at. And Los Angeles as well, if I remember. And that's where Aladdin Sane came from. And so you see, not only through these different visual styles he chose, his own artistic viewpoint, but the places he's been through and what he's lived in. It's like he's trying to, I don't know, share that with you through the way that he expresses himself.
Yeah, I agree. He did a lot of really, I don't know, just like really inspiring people in that way to kind of be who they were and go out there and do them, you know?
Yeah, you give people permission when you're visible like that. And so it can be really scary. I do understand that. And I know just being out in this world and having people look at you just the way you are can be scary, but it's worth it, because even though you might be scared, someone else might be looking up to you and being like, oh my gosh, I want to be them someday. And just for that person, you can be out in this world and be that strong sort of North Star for them.
Yeah, I agree. I got that in there pretty darn fast.
Yes, you did.
I did that.
5. I think we technically have like 2 minutes before they start, pulling out that cane-shaped hook and pulling us off the stage. So, we have 1 minute. I'm wrong. This is it.
I think that's pretty cool, though. I think I'm going to finish these. I think I'm going to add some more detail and stuff to it, and maybe a little more like painterly texture. But I think this is a really good base. We did 3 of them today.
It's awesome. You did amazing work. 3 different Bowie looks in just under an hour. Val, it's excellent to be here with you today on Pride Week. And just thank you so much for sharing all your tips and tricks.
Thank you so much for hosting me. It is always a pleasure to hang out with you. And there's been so many friends in the chat, Cody and Rob and Jay and all of you folks hanging out. So thank you guys for coming to hang out. I know I saw Becca in there and Alessandra. It's good to see all of you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.